So I'm still moving on with Europa Universalis here, and running into another issue in the rules where I just recently went with the Italian Wars event, had France essentially conquer Napoli here. And in the extension, Napoli is an independent minor power. In this case, I believe Spain was the controller. But France declared war on Napoli. Spain, preferring instead to focus on New World exploration, opted not to declare war on France, even though they had a free casus belli to do so. France had a casus belli because of the Italian Wars event for Napoli, so they end up attacking Napoli and invading it and conquering it. Except, I'm not sure how to militarily annex a minor power. There's plenty of rules for annexing diplomatically, which is, where you would move a particular minor power's diplomatic chit along these tracks here through the various stages: subsidies, military alliance, core expedition, entry in war, vassal, and annexation. And that is done through diplomatic means, where you would spend money to advance the track during the diplomacy phase. You'd spend money to move that up the track diplomatically. I can't find anything in the rules on how you handle military annexations. I was reading in an AAR on Board Game Geek for the 1492 Grand Campaign, and something very similar happened here, where France invaded Napoli, which I think Napoli is technically all four of these provinces here. Napoli, Puils, or however you pronounce that, whatever that word is, Puil, and then Sicily and Messina. According to the expansion rules for the start of the game, I think Sicily and Messina are controlled by Spain, and Napoli itself only has these two provinces in the boot of Italy here. Regardless, France declared war, invaded, sieged the city, took it, and in this AAR, the same thing happens. Napoli's invaded, France takes it, and the AAR just says I don't remember which phase it was, maybe during the diplomacy phase, maybe it didn't even specify. It just said France annexes Napoli, and then move on. Well, I can't find out how you actually do that. For the rules for peace with minor powers, it talks about attempting to make peace with minor powers, and even actually believe in here. Well, first of all, under annexation in the rules, which is in the minor country controller section, it talks about forces of an annexed minor removed from play, receives income on its own, blah, blah, blah. To be annexed diplomatically, well, no, that doesn't apply, because we're not talking about diplomatic annexation, we're talking about military annexation. This talks about de-annexation, and then this says if an annexed minor country has its diplomatic marker removed from the game, it ceases to exist. That doesn't help either, because it doesn't explain how the country got annexed militarily. So I flipped back to the peace phase to see if I could find anything under the peace with minors section. Instead, it just talks about the peace process resolution. If you possess provinces, you can sue for peace, and so forth and so on. Well, what if you possess all the provinces? You've completely conquered that minor. There's nothing in the rules in here about that. It describes over here the levels of peace, which you could potentially request from a minor, I guess. And even here it says elimination of minor countries. Once all provinces of a minor country have been annexed, that minor's diplomatic markers are removed from the game. And it explains that if you annex Napoli, that's what happens. Their diplomatic markers removed and they're gone. But again, have been annexed. How? There's just no way. There's nothing in here that explains how you militarily annex something. If I've conquered all of Napoli, do I have to go through the peace phase? I would argue that I don't. I've conquered every province that there is. I've destroyed their entire army. Why would I be asking for terms? I own the place. That's it. And the way these peace terms seem to work is, again, there's all conditional modifiers and so forth, but it's if you have a certain number of provinces, then you can request provinces to be seated in the peace process. Well, what if it's all of the provinces? It never specifies how that would be handled. So, and then it goes into peace with majors, which obviously doesn't apply here. So, and here you've got minor country loser. If a minor country loses a war, the minor only cedes provinces to the winning side that the side has conquered. Or unconquered provinces, the minor annexed from one of the victors in an earlier war. If the latter case, the provinces must be returned to the original controller. It talks about indemnities here, it talks about separate peace here. And then here, a minor country that loses and signs an unconditional peace with the major country or loses and must cede a province has its diplomatic marker moved to the neutrals box. Well, what if it's removed from the game? So this doesn't talk about, why would they sign an unconditional peace and cede provinces? I already own all the provinces. So, again, not sure how that's actually supposed to work. So I just am house ruling it that if you conquer all the provinces of a minor country, that country is officially annexed and is removed from the game. So unless an event or something states otherwise, seems the easiest way to resolve it to me, unless somebody's seen something else in the rules that would indicate otherwise.